15 minutes. So if there's no more further questions, no. Seriously. Good afternoon. Another sponsor session from Liquidware. My name is Andreas van Wingerden. That was one of my former colleagues. I think we spent quite some time together when I was at Citrix as well. Today we're going to talk about the whole, I'm going to continue on the whole app dilemma. And I could have put up all kinds of figures up here, but we all know that outdated applications make our environment vulnerable. There's so many guides, but still we continue to do the same thing over and over again. And that's because we are still stuck in our traditional way of thinking. Even when it comes to the modern workplace, there's still a lot of organizations that even once they move over to a more modern scenario, and either be that physical or virtual, they go like, yeah, let's build a golden image, and then take it from there. But a modern workplace needs a modern approach to managing that workplace. Because if you let go of the whole concept of thinking one size will fit all, you think about, okay, what actually best suits the need of my employees, of my organization, you will soon realize that there's not one solution that fits all. Still, I see a lot of companies that go like, you know what, Citrix is charging an arm and a leg. I'm going to toss it all out and I'm going to give everybody a laptop. Why? There's still a good use case for a virtual workplace. Maybe you can say, okay, you know what, I'm going to change that over into AVD or into Win365. Sorry, Jim, for the outdated nomenclature. Still put up Cloud PC. Sometimes I just can't keep up. The challenge is that whatever you have, every solution will have its own preferred methods of getting the application into the workspace. And sorry to the guy in front of me, but I'm not a fan of having 12 different technologies within my organization. Sure, as a transition path perhaps, but we should be trying to limit those moving forward. If you've got enough time and you've got enough patience, sure, go for it. If you're large enough and every single line in here means a different team within your organization and you have limitless budget, go for it. Let everybody make up their own mind and pick and choose whatever they want. But I've not met any single company in the last 18 months that says, I've got enough time, I've got enough patience, and I've got enough money. Everybody is telling me, we want to switch over, it needs to be done by next month. Actually, during lunch, somebody told me that something needs to be done and needs to be delivered next month. And he was talking about the size of the company, and I'm like, good luck. Do you have an inventory? No, I don't. So when Gartner wrote a piece earlier this year, they said, you know what, when we look at modern management, we need to think about making stuff more into a modular approach. Starting off is our unified endpoint management layer. And that's, I believe, the only way forward. But for a lot of organizations, that's already a big step because mobile devices are being managed by a different team than, for instance, the Windows workspace. But from a technology perspective, that whole layer is merging into one, leaving us basically only with Microsoft Endpoint Manager and some of the other technologies from VMware. Next comes, what else do we put on top of it? You have endpoint analytics, profile management, policy management. All of these different things will have a certain best of breed in it. The challenge is going to be, how do I pick and choose and come up with the best of suite? What is giving me the biggest benefit and limiting the amount of vendors I have to deal with? And obviously, I'm from Liquidware and I'm up here, so I'm here to tell you that we're the best fit. Oh, it's a sponsor session. Well, why is it? Well, that's because if you look at the way we've approached the situation, we've said, you know what, there is a delivery platform. We don't care whether it's physical, virtual, or cloud. It's just there. You pick and choose. Next comes the OS, and we don't discriminate between being a single-user OS or a multi-user OS. From an app perspective, other than potentially app support perspective, there's no difference. It's Windows in our mind. Sure, I see somebody thinking, OS X. I'm like, yeah, sure. That's why Microsoft made a OS X version of Office, because most of the time, the Mac users are people that don't go beyond Office 365 or a web app, because there ain't much out there elsewhere. Next, we add a context layer. A context layer because in today's society, context matters. We can't just rely on thinking a user is always within the same security framework. Next, we say we get the applications. And to finish it all up, we add in the user environment. This is the base premise. But on top of that, obviously, comes what Gartner describes as endpoint analytics, monitoring the whole environment from different perspectives, but in our mind, should always happen through the eyes of the end user itself. What are they experiencing? What does it look like to them? And our methodology to help you along in that method is to actually first identify what is out there. What do you actually have? And not on paper, not because Intune or SCCM is telling me this is what's been installed. No, but what is actually being used? How are my users actually using my environment? And then devise a plan to transition you over from that traditional approach into the modern workspace as a whole, in which we allow you to pick and choose whichever technology you want from an infrastructure component. And the same applies to all the software we make. We offer you the possibility of choice. Are you in a scenario where you still need to remain on-prem fully? Fine. Moving fully into cloud? Fine as well. Hybrid scenario? We don't care. You pick and choose. But most importantly, and this is where we see a lot of success with, for instance, service providers, all of our solutions are from the ground up multi-tenancy. There's no link between our technology and just one tenant. So for instance, if we do think about applications, the work I've done for customer A can be easily replicated into all of my other customers. So looking at the user environment, for us that means focus on the individual. And yes, Intune is a nice start. But what we found while working with our customers and our partners is it's just not enough. We need context and granularity. We need to be able to set certain things, check certain things, configure certain things based on where the user is actually working. What is he actually doing? Without telling you, you know what, for that scenario, here's this website or this tool. For that scenario, here's that tool. I don't believe in a user will switch willy-nilly in 24 hours time from a physical device to a cloud device or a cloud workspace. I just don't. I've been at Citrix for 20 years. If I've used a virtual workspace for 1 month in total, that's exaggerating. Probably even less. Why? Because in my use case scenario, the only reason I would actually switch over to a virtual workspace was if my laptop would break down. If you give a person a personal device, they will treat it as such. They will use it. That will be their primary access. However, within our company, there might well be people that are best suited with a virtual workspace. And it's all of that context. Our apps would exactly be the same. It's just that a certain group of people would access it this way, and another group of people would access it that way. From a management perspective, it's still the same management entity. Granularity as well. On-off is no longer good enough. We need to be able to actually switch between certain criteria. So bring it over into the applications. If you look at applications, and I again spotted the former speaker talking about legacy apps. Next phase is going to be SaaS. I'm like, SaaS and legacy apps could well be the same. SaaS just means the software is delivered as a service. I think he was trying to refer to, as the way I do it, Windows-based applications and web-based applications. SaaS and web are not the same. Office 365 is SaaS. It all depends on the way you use it, which it is. So to me, applications, the way we've known them for the past 20 years, will still be around by the time I will go on pension, which is at least another 15 years. He said with a smile. But if we look at applications, there's a few things that we as Liquid try to help you with. It's around the area of provisioning, about remediation, deploy and patch, and security integrations. So in the past, we've spoken a lot about our FlexApp product as part of the total digital workspace management suite. Even when you look at FlexApp, we offer you freedom of choice as well, depending on how you want to provision it. You want to leverage our client? Fine. You want to deploy it using Intune? Fine as well. You want to integrate it into, say, Company Portal or any other form of portal? Fine. I think there were a lot of speakers today already that mentioned us being part of their solution, and we will continue to do so because we want to be as flexible as possible. When it comes to auto remediation, the thing you need to keep in mind is that once we've delivered the application, by default the app will be in a read-only state. So even if the user starts banging on the delete button during Explorer thinking, oh, that's the way for me to free up space on my machine, next time he logs in, next time we refresh the app will be there just as we intended it to from a central administration perspective. Another challenge I've always heard, and people advocating all kinds of other different technologies, is how do I get my apps then ready? This is where we bring in package automation. Package automation from us is so powerful that basically anything within a Chocolatey or within a WinKit library can be scripted against and automatically packaged and transferred over into a FlexApp. So I don't need to boast about how many apps are there. I can say, sky is the limit. If you want, just make a file, tell me which apps you need, we will automatically package them for you. And from a security integration, things we've done over the past is, for instance, the possibility to sign your FlexApps, the possibility to integrate it with OAuth. So an app can only be run on the device if you've allowed the certificate to be executable, so the app itself, but vice versa. We can also make sure that if you're no longer part of our tenant, you can no longer run our apps. So if you've got apps that hold IP for your company, we can actually help you secure that IP as well, even though it's as portable as can be. We've integrated with Azure AD. We've done a lot of work in further improving the security of our architecture. And we're now also offering the possibility of cloaking applications. Then the last question I get asked a lot is, will my application actually work? The biggest challenge for a lot of companies. And what I want to share with you is research done not by us, but by external third-party vendor that's a look at various technologies out there. And what they've said is FlexApp has got the biggest application compatibility out there today. Now, Jim, please don't go with a microscope on this list and say, but we fixed this. It's always a moment in time. Well, we are consistently improving FlexApp the way we see fit moving forward in making sure that we cover as much of the application logic out there. So that means including drivers, including services, including all kinds of different things that are thrown at us from an application perspective. And to prove my point, what I've done is I've set up a share where there's a bunch of FlexApp ones that you can just download, execute on your machine, and you can see what it actually means for you. And with that, I'm handing over the mic. And I think I'm done nicely on time, unless there are immediate questions.
Spot on. Any questions?
Why no MSI from? Why no MSI and MSIF for that way?
I think you can come by the booth, why not? We, as a platform, we embrace them. So if you look at our whole digital workspace management suite, we allow you to deploy MSIX, we allow you to deploy AppV for the next, 12 more months? But our philosophy is all based around application layering and not application isolation. For us, it's all about making sure applications integrate with each other due to the fact that in our mind, that's the way the application was originally intended to be run, and not in an isolated environment. Windows, contrary to some other operating systems, is not written with containerization in mind. So that's why it's not up there.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.